Hi, I'm Andy Jenkinson, caravan industry expert. Welcome to my channel. Hi and welcome to episode 2. Well, look at this, 1948. This is a Pilot Panther Mark III. Now this, believe it or not, was being used up until some years ago in Wales, and it was classed as a living trailer van. So basically people lived in these, and Katrina's got some great bit of documentation that shows the original owners, and also the owner said her daughter was actually born in this caravan many years ago. So it really is quite a nostalgic piece of caravan history here. Look at that shape, look at the V at the front. This was a sort of a profile that sort of came in from the late 40s. People such as Paladin used it, and also Coventry Steel and other manufacturers as well. It was sort of a UK slant on the American trailer, if you like, but there's a lot of quality workmanship that got into there at some stage. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to have a look inside. Now again, this is a work in progress tour, so you'll have to forgive the mess inside, but you've got to use your imagination to what it would have looked like. And well, it's been saved. That's the main thing, it's been saved. Right, before we go inside, I'm going to show you around at the back here, because look, we've got that big pilot badge there, but look at this big grab handle on the back here too, because don't forget, to manoeuvre this caravan onto a pitch, there's been several people pushing and pulling around it, so they'd need a big grab handle, and this was a big heavy van at the time. But there's road lights. These have perished unfortunately, because it would have been towed if it would have been a showman's caravan, but when it was residential, obviously the chance of it being towed in its life may have been once or twice. But the water, this is a water tank, because what you'd do is you'd fill that up with containers, and inside there was actual pump. Now it was mechanically operated, usually with your foot. They did also hand water pumps as well, but that's what you did. So it was basically an onboard water tank, and of course somebody'd have to fill that up every now and again, because it wouldn't hold up very much in the way of water. I would probably think it would be the equivalent of a modern aqua roll if you were lucky, to be quite honest with you. But anyway, enough that. We shall now go and have a look inside, and this is caravaning, or a sort of say caravan heritage at its best, but it is very much a work in progress. Well, in the rear of this Pilot, and obviously over the years people have altered and adjusted things. The sink is probably from the 1970s, but apart from that, as you can see, this is very much a big major restoration. And Katrina brought it down, I think, from Nottingham down to Oxfordshire on a car trailer, on a big towing trailer that you could get it on. And when she got it actually here, she realised there was a lot of work to do, but it's a very interesting caravan. Now, as I say, this would have been classed as a living caravan, or used by showmen who would tow it to their next destination, if like circus people, that sort of thing. So where am I at? Well, this would have been the kitchen, because end kitchens reigned supreme back in the day, and most caravans and caravanners loved an end kitchen, because it meant that you're out of the way of the main living area. In this section here, was the washroom. Again, you'd have had to shut that door off, but you'd have had a door on here so you wouldn't have any folding doors to come out. So that would have been all nicely shut off if you needed to use the toilet. Cupboard space, all this sort of thing. Again, it's hard to imagine when it's in this state. But you can see that all this, when it was new, would have been really top quality workmanship. And it's just, yeah, I mean, 1948, it's just incredible that something like this has survived as well as it has. As I say, up until I think the 90s, it was still being lived in, and it was still in very much in one piece. But it got buried in woodland eventually after the occupants left it, and it was just left to go. Anyway, I'm going to take you through the rest of the caravan, and I'll try and explain best as I can what it would look like. Right, well, in the front end, and this would have been obviously the lounge area. Now, as I say, this was a living van, and this is round about 17 foot long and about 7 foot wide. I mean, we couldn't imagine now living in a caravan like this, but yes, back in the day they did. Now, pilots were built very well. They were very well made, and the company began in about 1936, I think it was, 37, and they were built at I think near Telford in Shropshire, and Roy Pascal, who designed them, made sure that his caravans were built to last. And as you can say, 1948, even though it's not in one piece, it's still here in the flesh. Right. Now on this side there's another door entrance, because of course if you were using the kitchen that side, you could always come through here and not have to disturb anybody through the kitchen area. And that's probably what would happen a lot, is that kitchen door would get used very little, and it would be the main side door. Now you've got storage here, you've got wardrobes, you've got overhead lockers. Again, there would have been some more here, but they've obviously long gone. And this big wardrobe here, there would have been, so this comes out, I've got to be very careful because I don't want to break anything, making things worse, but there would have been some another here, so you could partition it off if you like, so that this area then could be partitioned off from this, because there'd be a seating area here too, which would make up into a bed. Now you'll see that there's actually floorboards. There was nothing like the sandwich construction floors they use today and that type of thing, but and insulation. It was literally floorboards. Now you can see some of these have seen better days, and again, this floor's going to have to be basically probably all redone to make it 100% safe. But look at this! I love this frame in here. Look at the size of this wooden and everything. It's still pretty sturdy that all these years on, and there's been water getting into it. And of course, when it was a living van, if you're on a living van site that was classed like a residential, you may have been lucky to have had electrics, because that wasn't a very common thing. And one of the reasons is that electrics, it wasn't unheard of for people to get electrocuted in the caravans, due to badly fitted electrics. So people would get electric shocks even, and some, as I say, would even get electrocuted. So you'll find there's some little switches, which are like little bakelite switches, which are dotted here and there. Sorry, you can't see them on camera, but if you get the gist of it, like a normal light switch but made in bakelite. Here is a cowling off the solid fuel, because it would have been a solid fuel stove that would have sat in this area, and I think that had gone when Katrina picked it up. But as I say, you'd have had the electric, so the people that had this then had a TV, so they could actually watch a bit of telly if they could get a reception. So we are talking probably by this time late 50s, 1960s. But look at this here, this little storage here. Look at that. Now you've got your stove here, and some people would probably use this as like a little airing cupboard. Hard to believe now, but that's true. And this, there would be a sliding door by looks of things here to partition off, but again, obviously that's gone missing. Again, there would be gas lights, but I would say again, guess that with electrics fitting, they would probably use electric lighting in this caravan. But as again, all the wood is natural, it's all proper stuff. When these people put these together, they made them to last, and last a lot of them did. It's only because a lot of them disintegrated, because literally became outdated, people didn't want them anymore and just let them go, and they got vandalised. Now, somewhere in Shropshire, I can't remember what road it's on. It's on the main road, and if you're out and about, there's actually a burger bar, and I think it's still there, and that is also a Panther Caravan. It's a later model than this, but that's what it is. It is actually a pilot, caravan. So if you see it, stop and have your bacon butty, and just remember this video and how it was once a luxury caravan. We're looking at some foreign tourers, and these are two tourers that she's got. We're going to look at this one first. It's a 19th century Constructum Corral, and it really is a smart little van. Now, these had a very distinctive look, as you can tell, with the round front end here on the corners, and also the GRP roof. And I quite like the fact that these side lights are moulded in. That's something that is was quite a way ahead of its time. Plus, they also put a gas bottle locker on to keep the gas well out of the elements and hopefully stop it freezing in cold weather. But if we walk around this other side, well, let's have a look around here at the rear. Again, this is a very stylish tourer, and what you'll notice is that these windows, although the glass, they've actually got the fittings for the brackets for opening and shutting them actually through the glass. I mean, trying to get a replacement for one of these could be very, very tricky. But look at that GRP roof. It really is a very good quality roof, and the sides are slightly bowed too. But look at all the nice fit and finish. This is really a nice tourer, and to be quite honest, construction changed very, very little over the years. And did they ever come to the UK? Well, this one was specially imported, and also the next one we're going to look at was also imported, but especially, but in the early 60s, well, about 1964-65, they did try and hit into the UK market, but they never did any good at all. They never got the dealerships at all, so the plans were dropped. So if you wanted one of these babes, you had to go to Belgium to go and get one. Anyway, let's go inside. Right here inside, again, this caravan is very stylish, very continental. Again, real wood veneer was used. But look at all this sort of style, how it's all been, it's not just a locker door, it's styled, and all the round corners under here, so if you did get up in a bit of a rush, you wouldn't make too much damage of your head. Now, there's no washroom in this caravan at all, so again, it's one of those where you'd have used the facilities on site, or you'd have had the toilet tent up. So this enabled this to become a larger double bed, a bigger kitchen, and a slightly bigger wardrobe, and a bigger front end. So if you remember back of the video we did of the Coronet and the Euro Camper, this is basically that same layout but far more extended. But when Katrina got this, it was a little bit of a different animal. It had been played around a lot with, and she's got it pretty much back to how it would have been. Again, the table here would come down, it would make a big double bed here, a very big double bed for the time of for its period. And again, gas lights, well, there was one gas light, and it's round the corner here. You can't see it on this on the video, but it's one of the later Morco self-igniting gas lights. You didn't have to use a match on it. But skylight in the middle here, which is quite good. Don't want a few flies in there. So when you're eating your meal or whatever, you could have that open to get some ventilation in. The windows didn't all open at all. The side ones are sealed windows. So basically, the only windows that opened was here over the cooker, and also at the back here, and at the front end, the central one. The fridge, well, that's from the 80s. That's obviously been retrofitted. As I say, this is 1970, and apart from the creaky floor there, and also there's just a gas burner. There was no grill fitted. It's something that continental vans tend to do today. So, big wardrobe. Nice big latch there, that's it when I can open it. Don't want to pry too much, but plenty of storage. plenty of shelving there. Not much in the way of hanging room though, so maybe you could take those shelves out, I don't know. But I like this, look at this little mirror on the inside. But everything feels just nice, and it still fits neatly today, 51 years later on. Right, very quickly I'm going to come to this front lounge, and then we'll wrap it up from there, and we'll go and have a look at the 1967 model just at the back. Now, what I like about this front end is with that styling at the front, it really does sort of bring it around, and it makes it feel far bigger. It's almost wraparound seating. And again, this table would have dropped down and made a double bed, not quite as large as the one at the back, but this would have been the one where the kids would have slept, because this would again have been a family, typical family 4-berth caravan. And as I say, construct them, they did export them into places like France and Holland, but these vans tend to last very well. That GRP roof is a good quality, and to be quite honest, it would take a bit of something really bad to break this, to fracture it and let the water in to let it rot. So it's a really good quality. Well, here we are to another constructor, and this is the Condor. This is from 1967, and I think this is a really smart caravan, to be quite honest. I mean, the other one was good, but I think this is possibly a little bit better. Now, this is slightly smaller. It's got that same sort of layout, but instead of the lounge area at the front, it's just got a single settee. And what you may have noticed is the doors are not on the UK side, of course, because obviously they were made for the continent. Right, let's have a look. Basically, again, nothing's much changed from 67 up to 1970. And again, it was a more of evolution than revolution with the design. But you always could recognise a constructor coming up the road, and obviously still can. So we're going to go and have a look round the back here a minute and see if there's anything different again. We've got that roof, we've got the glass windows again, and I'm really taken up with the fact is that the brackets for the glass windows, for these windows, are actually through the glass themselves. It's quite unusual. Anyway, sealed side windows, so the side windows obviously didn't open. But again, really pretty much same as the 1970 model up the top there. But anyway, let's go inside this because I really want to get inside it. Right, I'm going to take you on a magical mystery tour from 1967 of this splendid Constructum Condor. Now, as soon as you get in, you realise again there's been very little change from the van made 3 years later. But the wood's lighter. Again, it's still same styling. Again, it's all radius corners, so you know if you got up, you didn't gash your head. Again, storage isn't bad. This is smaller, of course, and again, this would sleep 4. Well, he says it would sleep 4. It would actually sleep 3 because there's no bunk, obviously, fixings here because of the window. So this was basically classed as a 3-berth. Now, this obviously would make a good bed for a child, and that's what it was designed for. Coming over to the kitchen area, as I say, you've got a sink unit, and someone's retrofitted at some stage, and I'm pretty sure it's been retrofitted, an old Whale hand pump, and they were round about they came in round about the late, well, about this time this caravan was around, about 1966, 67. And the hand pump wasn't very popular. They usually went for people who bought the foot pump. That was far easier to use. But anyway, enough of that. Big wardrobe here in the middle. But anyway, come inside and have a look at this end dinette. In the end lounge here, I was just telling you about the wardrobe, how big it was just previously as it came from the front. I'd say that was a good sizable wardrobe there for 3 people. This end lounge is quite cosy. It would again be ideal for seating 3. You could seat 4 here to push. But sometimes, you just realise when you get in these older tours that were people a lot smaller in those days. I don't know, because everything seems to have shrunk in size. But anyway, table here, of course, would have dropped down. The cushions come across to make a double bed. And again, you've got some good window view here. So you've got plenty to see, but again, as we said before, this is the only window that opens. There's no shelf across here, but again, we've got this this roof vent which looks almost like a ship's porthole at the top, and we've got that ceiling like the cars manufacturers used to fit. Locker over here, locker over there, of course, and I think someone's retrofitted a little 12-volt light in here, because the only other lighting actually is in effect is when the camera comes round is a gas light that's fitted on the side here, and this was fitted on the side of the wardrobe in the other construction that I just reviewed and looked at. Now this gas light is a Morco, and the thing was, these were brought out about 1973-74 because these were self-igniting. Previous to that, what you had to do, of course, you had to use a match, and if you were a bit sort of keg-handed, or the mantle was at a bit of an age, if you're like my dad, he'd go and put the match through the mantle, and you'd have to put a new mantle in, and that was something that Caravan has always had on the shelf, was spare mantles. But that was a self-ignition, so somebody has swapped that at some stage for that 1973-74 light, which, as I say, was a big improvement on having to mess around with old glass globes, and which could also break, and very sharp as well. People, it wasn't unheard, people got cut and had to go to hospital to get them stitched up. But anyway, back to this. So yeah, this is very lovely 1960s. It's yeah, the swinging 60s. The Beatles are on their Magical Mystery Tour, and you can imagine being on the road in this in 1967 and travelling on the continent. What it'd be like? It'd be fantastic. Right. Well, we're going to go and have a look at another one of Katrina's nice little vans that she collected, and it's one that is a very, very well sought after, and it is an Ariba, and it's from 1982, but it was made for the French market. And anyway, she managed to track it down, and she's got it, and we're going to go and have a look. Come on, let's do that, and let's say goodbye to the constructor. But do you know what? It's a cracking little van. Right, well, I've come up from the field down the bottom there to look at this Ariba from 1970. Let's get it right. From 1982, it's been a long afternoon. 1982, and this was actually brought in from France. I think it's called the Ariba Prolifique, and Katrina bought this from Wales, and I think the lady who'd bought it, as I say, was the original person to actually bring it directly in from France, and I think she possibly had it from New York. I can't remember now, but probably she did, because there's been very little done to it. I've just had a quick look round it and a quick look in, and it's looking very, very original. But Aribas, well, it's like the VW of the caravan world. These fetch money. They're very, very sought after. Even the modern ones, several years down the line, fetch very good money, because these were built to last. They had a steel framework. The design goes back to the 50s, and most of these were also kept undercover. So again, that would help keep these caravans in very good condition. So, very dynamic, very strong. 1982. Now, if you've seen these on the roads, you'll say there's very little difference. And that's true, because apart from tinkering with the profile and tinkering with various other parts of it, this shape has evolved. It's been evolution, not revolution. But anyway, I'm really itching to go inside and have a proper look, so let's do it. Well, this is a very compact tourer, and of course that's what they sold on, the size and how easy they were to manoeuvre around and tow, of course. And also, you've noticed I've got the headroom, because it was a pop top, so this would pop down for when you were towing, for those who don't know about such things, and then back up when you're on sides again. So you could always use the living area without having to crick your neck. Right, so what have we got? Well, this was a 2-berth, so this end here with the little lounge, which will seat 4 without too much of a problem. For 2 people, there'd be ample room. And again, this would make into a double bed. But I like that little window ledge at the back because that's caused, of course, with the curvature of the body. So it's enabled them to put that nice little window shelf there. And also, the windows are plastic, and I'm not sure if these are actually double glazed, to be quite honest. Yes, they're double glazed. Didn't look at it from here for a minute. And these were well insulated Touras, and as I say, they do command a massive following. Now, as I say, Katrina got this, she was very lucky to get it, because it was originally bought in from France, because back in the early 80s and the 70s there was very few people buying these in the UK, so dealerships were basically non-existent. But anyway, let's go back to storage again. What I do like, I've just noticed, is that the beds, to make this up, instead of using the table, these actually slide out. So the bases slide out and join together in the middle, so you don't need the table. Quite ahead of its time at that particular period. I mean, we're talking 1982, and that's nearly 40 years ago, of course. But what I really do like is that the woodwork is still proper, decent wood. I mean, on the modern Arribas now, I don't think the finish feels quite as good as this. I mean, look at this, as I say, for nearly 40 years old, this is really, really nice. It's really stood the test of time very, very well. So there's lockers all around here, and there's also a wardrobe in this section, which is quite big for considering the size of the Caravan. And here is the washroom. Now, it's not a washroom as you think. Sorry about the carpet there. But this folds out and there's a sink in this area here. I don't know if we can catch that. Actually, you are very confined. And that's your sink, and your loo would go here. And once you're finished, everything is shut again. But you can actually... And there's another folding door on this other side, so you actually bring yourself the toilet compartment into the Caravan itself. Quite clever, quite ingenious, making every bit of use of that space. And then put the catch on to stop it coming open, and there's a key there as well to lock it should you need to. Now at the front end here, because we're going to do this video in one take really, because of course the camera is so small, so there's not really much to move around and show, but everything is very original. There's an Electrolux fridge here, which is a mains and gas, and that's the original one from the van. There's all these nice little drawers that shut perfectly, cupboards, plenty of storage there, and a really, I was just looking before, I can just do this now, a really quite decent sized sink with drainer. I was quite amazed at how big that sink was, but then again, with the bay window here, I suppose that was feasible to do. Oops. And here is just a conventional 2-burner hob, no grill of course, with the Continental's not using one. So, lockers above here, lighting, it'll be 12-volt lighting. And really, this is a really good condition Arriba from this year. It's one of the best I've seen. I've not seen many because they don't come up very often, and when they do, they get snapped up. So, I think really, this really is a nice piece of kit. It's a nice van, full stop. I just love how the wood grain and everything looks good 40 years on. It's super. Yeah. So, the Arriba, brilliant little Tourer, brilliant classic van, and again, if you're after one, don't expect to get one on the cheap, because they're not. I've got to go and see some of the big American monsters now. From little to large. Right, now, this is a Silver Street Clipper from 1952. Now, Katrina has done lots of research on these caravans, and I'll be honest, I'll hold my hands up that I'm not very knowledgeable on the US market at all. And basically, buying these in, you've got to do your research really, really well. And Katrina's pretty good at doing that. She's pretty for a lady. And she's bought this unit in, and these were quite interesting. I think this front end looks rather sinister. Also like something from a 1950s B movie. It really is striking. It's, yeah, I mean, you're not going to miss this if you rolled upon on a site with it, especially the UK. But anyway, what I want to do is, I want to show you around the back in a minute, but one thing I do know about US caravans, if you like, is they had electric braking. They didn't have an overrun system like in the UK and in Europe. They had electric brakes, and yeah, that was quite interesting. But anyway, strange enough, it is on a single axle as well, and it's a fair old size of caravan to have on a single axle. Look at that riveting again and all the work that's gone into that. But anyway, I want to show you around the back because there's a nice little feature. Well, this is what I'm on about. Look at this. I love it. Look at this. It's got a bumper on the back end here. I mean, it's not much of a bumper, but I suppose it would stop you damaging the panel work at the back here. But the lights are interesting, and these are the indicators with an arrow pointing to the direction that you're planning to turn to tell the motorist behind. I think it's really good. It's just like, yeah, it's a bit like the front could be the back and the back could be the front. It's just really interesting. Just design is completely different what you'd expect in Europe. But yeah, the bumper is, that's pretty cool personally. Anyway, I'm going to go inside now because there's some really interesting features inside that is something that you used to find on these American trailers. And as I say, Katrina is very well swatted up on these. As I say, I don't know much about them, so I'm really going to sort of go through and just tell you what bits I do know. Well, I'm inside this, and this is, well, what can you say? This is really fab. There's twin beds at the back here, and you've got this nice bit of a bay, and you've got this, look, it's like a little cool box, and look, you've got this little mirror here. But this is lined out of aluminium. I mean, let's face it, they had lots of aluminium, so why not line your storage compartment there with aluminium? I presume you could put something maybe cool in there, like a beer, and I don't know. But there's plug sockets here, because don't forget, a lot of the US vans were also wired up for mains because their sites were far and away in advance to what anything in Europe was, because the American caravaner wanted his home comforts. So basically, like, even the toilets were connected up to a main sewerage point, and then you'd be on your way. But this is fantastic. There's a light up here. Again, that's runs off electrics. And these twin beds. I mean, the mattresses feel a little bit as I've seen better days, but we're talking 1952 here. Right, I'm just going to get up because just to show you these lockers here. Again, all aluminium with a wood front. There you go. And on each side of the wardrobe and washroom is these, again, aluminium folded out for storing your magazines in. Well, I thought this might have been a toilet compartment. I don't know anything about these, but it's another big wardrobe with a massive big mirror on the side here. So I presume that you can see. I presume that not all US trailers had a bathroom, and this one obviously didn't back in 1952. But let's go into the galley, as it were. Look at this. This is fantastic. Look at this fridge. I mean, obviously it's a bit ropey inside, but look at the design and the style. It's like one of these. It's like a mini version of a US domestic freezer. You know, in the 50s that they had in the American Dream House sort of thing. It's super. Look at that. Everything feels solid, and it was made to last. And the kitchen, it's all made out of aluminium. Again, people they've obviously found that aluminium is a very good material to work with. And look at all this kitchen area, and there's your sink in there. And don't forget as well, because it was an onboard water tank, and they'd have an onboard pumping, which would probably be worked on a 12-volt system possibly. It would be pumped water straight through, and I presume there's 2 taps in. I presume one of these would be hot, so somehow there would be some water heated up. Again, I don't know enough about them to be able to tell you about that, unfortunately. But anyway, but the next thing is, look at this oven here. Now, it's like a domestic oven you'd find in a 50s kitchen, and it just doesn't sort of seem to sit right, does it? Obviously, or maybe there wasn't the amount of a dedicated supply chain to the manufacturers in the US at the time that made an oven to fit in, and stroke cooker to fit into one of their caravans. So this was possibly a small setup for a smaller home, and that would just fit into this area. They design it, and it's called a Dixie, and it's even got a clockwork timer on there. It's got a little oven. Well, I say a little oven, that's pretty big actually, to be quite honest. I presume there's a grill there. It's got a few, I don't know. I won't faff around. There's no gas connected anyway. I presume that's, don't know what it is. I won't go into that anyway. But also, what I do like is this gas heater. Now, obviously, what you'd have to do is you turn the gas on, and then you'd light it with a match, and that would be a burning flame. Again, I presume you don't have to have plenty of ventilation. That, I don't think would pass the regulations in this day and age by any means, but back in 1952, it didn't matter. Over on this far side, there's some more plug sockets, 2-pin of course, American style. And then we leave this area, and we go across to the lounge, which is again probably would make into a double bed here, so 2 could sleep here. Again, I probably think this is more for a couple really, with the 2 single beds. And again, there's a storage over there and some more main sockets. So this was well, I mean, it was advanced for its time, there's no doubt about it. But I say, a lot of the US sites were far advanced over to what they were in Europe. Well, that's it, I'm afraid, for this little mini-series, and I hope you've sort of enjoyed it. And I certainly have, and we've really been very lucky with the weather today. It's been good. And also Katrina, who owns these, I think 10 caravans, she's allowed me to come and have a good look around. She's brought them out and everything. She's been really, really helpful. And what I'd just like to say is that these are available for film companies and photo shoots and corporate events, but not for general accommodation. So basically you couldn't put one on a site and stop in it. That's not what they're about. But if you do want accommodation, Katrina does run a nice B&B, and I know it's nice because I sampled night there last night, and it's brilliant. It really is fantastic host. Good little breakfast in the morning, nice and clean, comfy beds, great room. Couldn't knock it at all, and an absolutely lovely area with a small railway as well. It runs up and down, just literally yards away, for tourists, etc. So it's in a real nice spot. So please like and subscribe. Please keep giving your comments, and there'll be some more brand new caravan stuff coming along soon. But do you know what? this weekend it's been brilliant looking around these Taurus, and this really is quite something. 1952, I just can't get over that gas thing, that big gas cooker. Now Katrina's told me that she's going to cut down and not get any more in, but do you know what, I don't believe her. I think there's another caravan in her sights, and do you know what, I'll be down here again coming having a look. But till then, and I'll watch me, I don't bash my head on here, I'll see you soon, and thanks for watching.